What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, Go Black to Africa. So we are here today with our sister again,
Yes, Anais.
a nice, and we want to go ahead and do a follow up from the previous video. If you have not seen it, please go because she's sharing her story when she was in the genocide from Rwanda, was sent over to as a refugee to Europe, which is Belgium.
Mhm.
And her uncle was raising them until she got to the age of 14, which then the system thought that it would be best that a European raise her and her two sisters than her uncle. And then she got to a point where she started to become more vocal and started to share her thoughts on her education. And the foster parent, she didn't want to have you be vocal, and she decided to take you to court.
Yes, yes. She took me to court.
And let's back up one step for a moment.
Hmm.
Who was the foster parent? We know she was Belgian.
Hmm.
She had other children, you said.
Yes.
But how was she?
This lady, she was, it's, for me, it looked like it's something that she has been doing for a while. So it wasn't really an emotional situation where she like cared really for children, but it was more like a way of having children in her house. And I mean, it generated an income because I think that if she really cared, she would also care about the future of the children. And she was really not invested in our studies, not in our future. It was more a home where you could literally do whatever you want, and yeah, you wouldn't get any comments from her. As a person, she was very. How can I say it? I mean, she was married before, and when we were there, she had her second or third husband, I think. I don't recall. And then when we left the house, when she put us out, actually, later on, she went into a relationship with a lady. So in the end, I never really understood her because it didn't seem like she was very stable with her emotions, nor with the children. I mean, it doesn't make her a bad person. I think that she had just her own problems, and maybe the system should check before putting children into homes. Like, is this a stable home? First of all, is this person someone who can actually help these children have a better future?
Yeah. Is this a normal practice in Belgium to take those children who are refugees and put them in the Belgians' houses? Or were
No.
you like a rare case or
I think that with us, because we were orphans, and it's a very weird thing because in Belgium, actually, the law goes above the parent. Where in Africa, for instance, your child is your child, and you decide what your child does, or a family member can even decide on your child if it's in their best interest. In Belgium, particularly, it's like the judge can decide we are taking this child from this place to another place, and the parent has nothing to say. So, for instance, my uncle had no say in whatever that was decided.
why was it or what was the reason
Mhm.
they took you all from your uncle? Because you weren't necessarily orphans.
Yeah, it's actually because they thought that if we were in a white people family, that we would integrate better with I mean, the environment. And so, because of the culture clash that I mentioned in the before, it's like, yeah, we were raised differently, and so they thought it's better to get raised by white people because then we will integrate in the environment and it would make our life easier. Yeah.
So, in other words, you will be indoctrinated.
Hmm.
They will basically transform your mind,
Yes.
get that African mind into a European
Hmm.
mindset.
Hmm. Yes.
Now, this happens around the world.
Mhm.
So, was she a loving woman? I mean, did she hug you all, take you to festivals, or did she sit down at dinner and, her and her husband at the
Mhm.
time, did they do these family things?
We had some family gatherings sometimes, and it was more like she was not a mom. I could consider her more like a older sister
Yeah,
because there was no, normally your parents, you respect them and you're fearing them because you can have like serious conversation.
yeah.
But because there was a lack of parenthood I could consider her better as an older sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we would have gatherings, it would be more, let's go to a restaurant together. She would introduce us to some of her friends, but it was in a very free spirited world where you don't know the difference between child and parent.
I find that similar
Hmm.
how it is in America, that
Okay.
more white people let their children just
Hmm.
freely just do what they want to.
Yes,
They
yes.
can change their gender. They can be what they want to be. Let them find their way.
Yes.
When I was growing up, we in the black community
Hmm.
had a lot more control over our children.
Yes.
We were disciplined and
Hmm.
we were spoken to, and we knew the line between a child and an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't open our mouths in adult conversations.
Hmm.
We weren't allowed to just talk about another adult or what have you.
Hmm.
Child was a child and adult was an adult. And I find that most Europeans, they're in America, white people,
Yes.
they are more free with their children. I remember
Hmm.
when I was younger, and you have playmates and stuff,
Yes.
and you see or some friends that you're like, well, Billy's mom and dad let them do it,
Exactly.
but my mom would always say, but this ain't Billy's house.
Yes.
And then when you got older and you start to see that
Hmm.
these kids that were free to roam
Hmm.
were the ones who actually got into the drugs.
Yes.
They were getting pregnant,
Hmm.
and of course they do a lot of hiding of that.
Yes, yes, yes. Of
Young
course. Yeah.
girl gets pregnant, they're gonna run to go get either abortion,
Yes.
or they send her away to grandmom somewhere down south or out west somewhere.
Yes.
You mentioned that you all had to stay in the basement.
Yes.
How was that in the basement? I mean, because when I'm hearing basement, I mean, some minds would go like it was a dungeon, like dark, it's wet, it's
Yeah.
eerie, and
Yeah.
but how was this basement? Was this something that was different than the rest of the home, or was it just a made-up basement with rooms and?
They kind of made like an open room because I was sleeping next to my little sister. So you could walk in and there was like a space where you could just sit, and then you had like our beds. But I have to admit that because it's under, so you are literally in the basement, you would just ask yourself like where do you belong in the house, because there were actually bedrooms upstairs of her.
Mm.
She had older children, but those bedrooms remained like there was nobody who's sleeping there. It was just for the sake that if they ever come to visit, they have a place to sleep. So I just thought, why wouldn't it have to be the other way around? We are the ones staying there most of the time. So yeah, and I also didn't understand how come we came with the organization who had like the court order to bring us there, and they see those rooms and they feel like it's fit. Yeah,
Yes.
that was actually my issue. I was like, how can someone find it okay? We are littered in the basement, so if you want to eat, you have to go up and in the living room, but then in the evening you have to go back in the basement. Whether it's a room or not, there were actually free rooms upstairs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
You mentioned there was other children, foster kids that were there.
Yeah, she adopted one child
Adopted.
and
Okay.
another foster child. She was younger. She was also taken away later.
She was taken away.
Yeah, from
Okay.
the house.
Because I was going to ask, did you and your sisters ever feel like you were treated less than the other children that might have been
No, we were all treated the same way.
same way?
Yeah, yeah, I have to admit, because we're all African children also.
Oh, all of y'all were African children.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay. I
yes.
thought it might have been some local children,
No,
Belgian children.
no.
Okay, okay. Well, let's get into this right here because you saw that she was a free spirit per se,
Hmm.
foster parent where you can just go do what you want to do.
Hmm.
Find your way somewhere down there, be a hairdresser, and then just enjoy life.
Yeah,
You've been through too much.
yeah.
So and you started to speak out against that.
Yeah, I started to speak out because I know better. I was raised by my uncle telling me you should be able to do whatever you want, but because you are now here in this country, you do need a document that shows that you're actually educated. So don't ever forget that, because however you turn it, the system is going to show you that you're not equal. So, and also at the same time, is because, as you mentioned, a lot of children, they get lost in the system. I mean, they get lost because there's no guidance, and so they become pregnant. And so I had some of my friends as well who actually never finished school. And I should literally say that I was always afraid to lose track. I was always afraid to lose track, and for my little sister also to lose track.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the day came, the court came.
Yes.
The court hears her side of what was her reasoning for wanting to go ahead and just let you all go?
She wanted to get rid of us.
Yeah.
And she had made that decision. So actually, what happened is I found out she wants to get rid of us. So I was working at this fast food place.
Because you were 17.
I was 17.
Yes.
Yes. And because I noticed like this lady is because it's gonna be her against me.
Yeah.
And in front of court, I couldn't imagine that they would choose my side anyway.
Yeah.
So I prepped my little sister. I told her, I'm gonna find a solution for us. So basically, I called this organization, and I told them that I might have to go to court. I will end up somewhere that I don't know, and I need help. There's these organizations that help children who are minors.
Okay.
Yeah, so I told them what was happening because I was afraid that if I go to court and they decide that I have to get out of the house the same day, that it would be a problem because I have no control of what's going to happen. And at the school where I was, at a middle school, I had a best friend, and she was Belgian. And so I asked her, can you please help me? Can you take my sister in? Because I know she's too young. If she goes into the system, she'll never make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we shifted. By the time we had to go to court, my little sister had already found her new foster parents. But then for me, I had no one.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up in front of court. The judge is looking through my file, and she's also looking at my school results. And it was very sad because actually she looked at my school results and she said, you are actually a good student.
Mm.
And I was thinking like, yes, I'm not a troublemaker. I have never done anything like, drugs or anything. And then she said, but you are an orphan. You don't know how to be with a family.
Mm.
And that shocked to me because I was so shocked that someone could tell me that in my face. That was the first time. And then she did ask me something. She said, what do you want to become? And I told her, I want to become a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
She looked at me, she looked at the file, and then, she listened to my foster mother at that moment. And in the same moment that I was there, I couldn't go back home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was decided that I was going to be put in an institution for young girls who don't know how to follow rules, and young girls who have been through a lot of psychological, emotional distress.
So they put you in a institution.
Yes.
With those who are having psychological issues, which you didn't.
Which I didn't.
Wow. So you're in this court. You immediately go to this institution that day.
That same day.
Your sister goes to your friend's house that they wind up taking care of her. Okay. And so this is my first time knowing that you went to the institution. So it's interesting. Now you get to this institution. What happens? I mean, what
because
happens?
Also I'm going to court, but I don't have my clothes. I don't have anything with me.
Yeah.
So when they decide they're taking me, I was so shocked. And my uncle came to the hearing, actually, and he did mention, like, please, can I just take my children back? Yes. And the judge said, this is not your place. This is not the time. We have already made the decision. So I remember being 17, being left at in court when I said I want to become a lawyer, realizing that my word against this lady will never stand. And also, now I'm going to the institution and I'm frightened.
Yeah. Wow. That day, they take you to the institution.
They take me to the institution. and it was so traumatizing because I couldn't see my uncle, I couldn't see my little sister. It was a closed institution.
Oh, I was going to ask you. This was a closed institution, no visitors
No visitors, only once a week for 2 hours.
for 2 hours. What did you find and discover in the institution? Did you complete your school? How long were you